Computer. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Intuitive Minds by Shelley and myself, where we elevate consciousness globally. We have a very, very special guest today, and I'm absolutely delighted to have Sean with us. But I'm not going to steal his cloud. I will let Shelley tell us how absolutely fabulous and intelligent and wise this young man is. So I'm Dr. James Liddell from Lifestyle Clinic in Cape Town, where I practice integrated health for the last 24 years. I love helping patients to restore their health naturally, and I complement my work with homeopathic medicine, herbal medicine, and also nutrition as a foundation. I also have an energy balancing discipline called biogeometry, where we use energy to heal patients. And now I'm going to give Shelley the opportunity to introduce herself and Sean. Shelley, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Lovely to be here. Hello, everybody. My name is Shelley Ruth Wyndham. Just a little brief overview. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and in geography, a love of the people, a love of the earth, and a postgraduate degree in natural medicine underpinned by quantum physics. 25 years plus of study, which was really my passion, of spiritual, metaphysical consciousness disciplines. I call myself a life coach, life and health coach, but I really am a spiritual healer and teacher. And I had the privilege, something like 20 years ago, to meet this gentleman that is on our Intuitive Minds platform today called Sean Allen Caulfield. And he became very interested in the shamanic work that I provide. And I had a duty, and I have a duty, and that's always to follow my heart in service of Creator Source, my higher self, my intuition, to be of service and to help people. And I never know where those people go. I just do the very best I can. And I'm very humbled and thrilled to have Sean here to display the outcome of what he's done with his life from those spiritual teachings. Sean Allen Caulfield, the topic that you have brought for us today is called The Destiny of Divine Time and the Mayan Calendar. It is an absolute honor and privilege on behalf of James and myself, Intuitive Minds, to welcome you. Hello, Sean.
Hello there, Shelley. Hello everyone. It's an absolute honor to be here on this platform, sharing, and thank you so much, Shelley, for the journey with you for the past. It really is about the journey of the soul, and when I first sort of was guided to get onto this healing journey, I didn't understand what I was doing, but as I went, I started to understand and why, and I met certain people that guided me eventually to meet up with you, and we have walked this healing journey for so long, and I'm so grateful to that. And it really is steeped in the indigenous wisdom and the teachings, the medicine wheel, the red road, path of the heart, and learning, and that has brought me to certain aspects, and so I'm so grateful to that, and really grateful. Thank you, Shelley.
Oh, you're so welcome. Sean, if we can begin with this very complex matter that you, to this day, have championed, and you hold nobly and humbly, which is truly wonderful to witness. How did you get to know and start this process of understanding this Mayan calendar? I mean, what was this thing, Mayan calendar, that got you? Because my word, you've been committed. You're totally involved in it. What is it? What is it for you? What was it for you?
Yeah. Thank you, Shelley. Yes, the Mayan calendar really is a universal calendar. It's the Maya themselves tapped into something organic, from what I can understand, and it came from a mother civilization, and it's all steeped in so much mystery, and so. From what I understand, conventional understanding says that the Maya descend from the Olmec, and about 1000 AD, the actual Maya civilization rose. But if you speak to the indigenous Mayan elders, they say that they were in existence long before that, from a mother civilization called the Tulan. And I've gone into deep studies, read books, and I've also traveled to the Maya lands myself and walked in pilgrimage with the Maya to the temple cities, doing fire ceremonies, time-keeping ceremonies with the Maya. So ultimately, what got me to want to learn about the Mayan calendar was the healing of myself and the medicine wheel, and doors just opened up and I didn't question it. Firstly, I got into the Mayan calendar through the dream spell, and this dream spell is a manipulated version of the Mayan calendar. I found out afterwards, and it was through looking at a presentation of the 9 levels of the Mayan calendar that I saw another version of the Mayan calendar, which was true to the indigenous wisdom keepers and timekeepers, the Maya themselves. And so what I realized was that the dream spell had its place, and it opened doors for me to understand the Mayan calendars to a certain degree, but because it was a changed version of the Mayan calendar, it didn't align to the synchronicity of the timekeeping of the 9-level Mayan calendar. And so this is really what I'm very interested in, is the 9-level Mayan calendar. And when I saw this presentation in about 2007, and from what I remember, Shelley, you were actually there with me, and a few of us, you know, we looked at this presentation of Ian Lungold and the 9 levels of creation. I don't know if you remember that, Shelley.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So when I saw that, it was about a 3-hour long presentation, a video presentation of Ian Lungold sharing the underlying meaning of the 9-level Mayan calendar, and that there is meaning to this code, and that this code, when one looks at it, is extremely complex. It shows the processes of evolution from the beginning, from the Big Bang to now. And to contemplate that this 9-level structure in the Maya lands, these temples, actually weren't just done to look at something and think it looks nice, as we look at art now. It's art as it's just aesthetic, you know, but they created because it actually showed the evolution of creation. And so they would do the ceremonies at these temple sites, these fire ceremonies, and walk up the temples and ignite the fire, and then come down again daily to connect with the energies of each day, and to align with the evolution of creation, and to align with the cosmic deities, the cosmos, the spiritual beings of light, in a way that are in the multidimensional aspect of time there. And these energies are actually evolving creation. And when the human soul aligns to this, we are actually part of the evolution. So that was what I understand the Maya aligned with time for. And yes, there's a lot of stories about the barbaric side of the Maya. You know, there's a lot of people who don't really understand that, in my view, and judge it. Yes, it is barbaric and has no place in our world today, but that's how they existed then. And they understood the cosmos in this way then. And so what is incredible to contemplate is how they saw these scales of time. And they, in my view, the ancient Maya worked with understanding the scales of time. And that information, in a way, and that alignment to time has sort of dissipated and almost been lost, because the modern Maya, from what I can understand, are working with the personal calendar, and that's the 260-day calendar. And then there's this 360-day calendar, which is really what the 9 levels together with the 260-day works with. And so the ancient Maya worked with this 360-day calendar, and that is what the so-called long count is connected with, in terms of the 5,000-year cycle that started, completed in 2011, 2012. So there's also a lot of interpretations of exactly when the Maya Mayan calendar completed. And in the work of Dr. Kellerman, it shows that the completion was on the 28th of October 2011. And so this is really what I'm studying is the 9 levels of the Mayan calendar. And so just to share with you a quick, this is really the stone where all the dates have been inscribed on the stone.
Wow.
Found in the Maya lands in about the 1940s. They found this stela koba. They found it lying in the jungle, like face down, and these show the dates of each of the 9 levels. And so it starts with the oldest dates up here, and it comes down to there where the 9th level is. And so they found this stela, which is 13 feet or so tall, and they brought it up. And then as they brought it up, after a short while, the wind came and blew. They did a rubbing of it first to get the exact dates, and then the wind blew all the stone away. So thank God that they did a rubbing to get the dates. And
Wow.
from these dates, they could work out the 9 levels of the Mayan calendar. And this is really what I created from Dr. Kellerman's work, and with his permission as well and acknowledgement. This gives you that inscription there gives you these dates. So this is the bottom here, which is 16.4 billion years ago. And then you get, this is when cellular evolution started. And then 20 times more condensed, you got the second level, which is the mammalian level, when 820 million years ago, organic evolution started. And then 20 times more condensed, you have the anthroid level, that's the 3rd level. And then 20 times more condensed, you got the human evolution level. That's 2 million years ago, is more or less when the human level of evolution started. And that was the evolution of consciousness to become self-aware through the human potential. And so then you got the regional level, and then everything is 20 times more condensed until you get right up to the 8th level. In 1999, the 8th level started. So what this really says is that the 8th level is really condensed, a condensed version of the very first level. So it's condensed. And this is really what this pyramid is all about. It's condensing time to ascend. And so the 9th level started in 2011, and it's the most condensed level. And that's the level that is very important for my understanding to be aware of, is that because from the 9th level that started in 2011, the 9th wave frequency started, and that's the diamond-like frequency of consciousness, which connects the mind with the heart, because it transcends the duality of the mind. And if you look at the coding on this calendar, you can understand that this is really what the evolution of consciousness has planned as well. If you look at it, it's the evolution, it's the plan of the universal source creator of evolution to transcend the imprint of duality. But in the process of arriving there, many mistakes have been made. And this is really what this calendar shows us, is how this process has evolved for us to get there. And I know what I'm speaking about here is like a mouthful, it's a lot to just take in. And so ultimately, just to say that I met, after seeing the presentation with Inex Lungold, I decided to email Dr. Kellerman in 2007, end of 2007. And then we became friends on email and communicated a lot. And it was like a natural thing for me just to sort of understand this intuitively. So my understanding is not really scientific, it's more of an intuitive approach. So I'm not too technical in terms of understanding the calendar from a scientific perspective. That's Dr. Kellerman. So he's the person that has all that understanding. So we kept in touch, and then he eventually came to Cape Town. I invited him to come to Cape Town, and he came here in 2009, and we did a workshop which you were part of, Shelley. And so that was amazing. What we did was we worked out our signs. And from what I remember, Shelley, he said you were a spiritual leader, according to your signs. That was quite amazing. What do you remember from that course, Shelley?
What I found with him, he did have that biological, that PhD background, that lovely scientific field that brought that into this very complex, mystical, mysterious, spiritually rooted overview that you've presented briefly here. Is he gave me a sense of, okay, you know, I mean, there's something that's substantially grounded here that can be clinically deciphered that he's worked on. And what I gathered from that, he gave me comfort in that, for me to look at this, because it was very complex. And his insights on that scientific side gave a great deal of anchoring for me to feel, okay, this is something that can be plotted, this can be insightful, this can be something that's been mapped. And then my concern on the other side was, would he, as Dr. Kellerman, lose himself in the spiritual, in the scientific? Because that's often the case when scientific folk, all of us, when we walk into the spiritual, we tend to go more or less onto the scientific side. And I discussed that with him, actually, and said to him something, hold yourself in who you are, and as you step forward into the spiritual light. And he looked at me and he just said to me, this I promise I will do for my soul. You know, it was so beautiful to witness this grand man who has really, in my field, it's like a whole brain state, left and right brain spheres, and working with his whole heart. And when I see you today, Sean, how he looks to you for the spiritual aspect of things. This is what I'm saying, okay? Yeah. You can be, I'm just saying that from my perspective, that he does regard you as a global expert. He may hold that scientific side, which he absolutely does, and does it beautifully. And he looks to you, who holds that spiritual side of this calendar. So it's quite remarkable that I had a privilege to meet him and to see both you and him working in your own individual ways and coming together, holding this knowledge for us as humanity to still see the relevance of this calendar. So yeah, phenomenal. I remembered that distinctly, Sean, and it was really great that you brought him through to Cape Town for us all to meet him.
Yeah, thank you, Shelley. It was such an honor to have him here. And we've been friends ever since, and we communicate like weekly, really, about different things. And, you know, over the years, because of, I think my approach is, I have a sense and understanding of the scientific side, that I'm very intuitive and spiritual as an artist. And so one of the things in the build-up to the completion of the Mayan calendar in 2011, which was really the completion, yet in 2012, there are dates that presented themselves that could be seen as completions, but the actual completion of the 9 levels, from an exact perspective, from a scientific perspective, you can see here on this, again, I'll show you this, you can see the dates there. So you can have a quick peek there, you can see the dates there. And it shows you this, it says a little bit there, you know. So as we move into the 9th wave, the frequency has shifted to an 18-day of light and 18-day of shadow. In fact, in terms of the calendar right now, we're in 18 days of light at the moment, the 135th day.
Can I just ask you then to qualify something, because there's this thing about the end of the calendar, 2011, when we were all involved in you with Dr. Kellerman, at the end of the calendar, and then you're saying the 9th wave today. So are you saying that the calendar ended, but it's still continuing? We're still in this thing called the 9th wave?
Yes, Shelley.
Because this is what needs to be understood, because many people have thought that the calendar's ended and it's irrelevant now. So it's very important to help us to understand, what are you meaning? Did it end? Does it ever? And what is this reference of what we're doing now? if it's ended.
I'm going to explain now, and I really hope that it can be understood, and I understand it. So I only share and explain what I understand, what makes sense to me, and the way I look at it. First and foremost, the soul, each individual person has a soul, right? And so in order for our soul to capture itself, it needs to understand it for itself. So we can share the information, and people need to do some sort of inner contemplation to understand it and then grasp it. It takes work. So ultimately, this is like a holographic of the universe, this 9 levels. And so it's the tree of life. It emanates as a pulse from the cosmic center. This is what this 9 levels is. It's a quantum code. It's quanticized, meaning that everything comes from within to create everything. So we live in this physical dimension, but we live in a multidimensional universe. When we close our eyes, we can connect with that multidimensional universe. This is really what the 9 levels is all about. It's the evolution of consciousness to be complete. Okay, and so the cycles come to a completion, an end, but they don't end as in like the end of the world. This is really what the misconception was of the Mayan calendar. So what it does is it completes to be whole, so that it can continue as one whole vibration. And if you look at the egg, the ostrich egg, that whole egg, that is really a complete egg. There's no distortion in it. So that memory in that egg is really a reflection of the 9 levels. Okay. And so,
and what is the egg? What do you mean, the egg?
As a metaphor, as a symbol, the egg is a whole egg, and it hatches from within itself. So now, in a way, this is really what the completion is. We've completed as a whole vibration, and the universe is, in a sense, whole. And so now it's hatching. So this is what the 9th wave, when we tune into the frequency of the 9th wave, which transcends the imprints of duality, we are aligned with the wholeness of the universe that transcends the imprints. And this is really where we are now. We're at the very beginning of that stage. It's very fragile. It's actually symbolized, in my view, by the hummingbird. It's like this high frequency, very fragile, but pure and beautiful, this essence of light and love. And the hummingbird is the number 1 and 2. There's 13 numbers, and the number 1 and 2 are the green and blue hummingbird on the Aztec calendar. So the Mayan calendar you have, and then you have the Aztec, which work with the 260-day count, and that is the code. And so I will be sharing with you 1 or 2 things, but just to say that in terms of the 9 levels and the completion, there were ceremonies that were performed, and one of them was the harmonic convergence in 1987. That was like a date that was a pre-wave to the beginning of the 8th level in 1999. So it was a roughly 13-year cycle. In 1987 to about 1999, it's actually 12.8 years of a cycle that was a pre-wave to prepare us for the 8th wave, which is really the 8th wave resonates to a spiritual tone. It also is aligned to the galactic frequency that is being downloaded with information. So each wave is like a download. This is the way Dr. Callum speaks about it. When there's a new wave that came, it downloaded information to awaken us to a higher level of consciousness. And this is what 1999 brought in. You can see it on here. There, you can see it there.
Can you point? Don't know what we're looking at here, Sean.
This one here, the 8th level. Yeah.
The galactic, right? Got you.
That's the galactic.
Okay.
And
yes.
so then in the year 2010, after I went to the Maya lands and walked in pilgrimage with Donna Alejandro and Elizabeth Aharu and a few people that were on this pilgrimage, when I came back to South Africa, Dr. Kellerman asked me, would I involve the Bushmen in the conscious convergence, which was a pre-wave to the beginning of the 9th wave. And that was in July 2010. So I went up to the Kalahari and with a friend of mine, and we asked the Bushmen if they would be part of a ceremony, a global ceremony, to prepare humanity's consciousness for the awakening of the 9th level, which was that step up to the transcending duality phase. So in short, we are a reflection of these 9 levels that have come to completion and continue. So nothing ends, it continues. Everything continues, yet we are spirit before we're physical. And this is where, in a way, to master the maze of this distorted reality we live in, it is important to be spiritual, in my view. And that's what's woken me up to be able to cope through these times, because the times we're in are off the charts. And what's happening is also because everything came like this, it got closer and closer, condensed, and as it went to this point, it got distorted, more and more distorted as we got to 2011. But now, since we got to 2011, everything is continuing and condensing. So the distortion and the problems, in a way, have come to the surface from all the time we've existed. And now the work is to do the inner work to transmute the distortion. So, I mean, at the end of the day, then as we've gone from 2011 to now where we are in 2024, this calendar, the 9th wave frequency, in my view, this 18-day cycle of the creation waves, this is the plumed serpent, 18 days of light, 18 days of shadow, 18 days of light, 18 days of shadow. This cycle is the one that I work with and I connect with, but then I also connect with it with the traditional 260-day cycle, Solkeen. And that is, something that's the personal calendar. That is the calendar that when you go into it, it can give you guidance for your life. It gives your soul, it shows the imprint. When you're born, it shows you that imprint for that day, and it gives you guidance to your soul's destiny. It's like astrological. It's like when astrologers do your sign. This is another way of doing it, and it is very powerful.
So if I just listen to, and I've listened to this for a long time with you, Sean, and I've always been amazed at it. There are differences between that astrological chart and the Mayan chart. And from what I gather from you and from listening to Dr. Kellerman and others, is the Mayan calendar is more of a connection to the cosmos, say something that is conscious and it's evolving. I don't know if I'm wrong or right.
Yeah.
It seems to be, there are similarities between, if somebody wanted to know their astrological reading or if they wanted to know their Mayan reading. What would be your guidance as to what the Mayan calendar could give?
So there is a difference between the Mayan astrology and conventional astrology. In terms of the conventional astrology, works with the planets and the movement of the solar system, and in relation to when you were born and things like that, which has its place and what have you. But for me, because it's physical, it is sort of like delayed. So the Mayan calendar works with the exact emanating frequency from within, and so it's more exact. It's quite difficult to try to explain, but all I know is that it's not working with anything moving that's out there. It's working with the actual with the emanating light within you that creates the physical world from the multidimensional. So there's no lag in time, in a way. Whereas with astrological, there's a lag in time, and with the Mayan calendar, it's quantum, it's within, so it's exact on that level.
Okay.
I don't know. It's quite difficult to actually. yeah,
value in both sides, of course, I get that.
yes, yeah.
So
I mean,
let's just understand what you're speaking here.
Yeah, I mean, the Maya timekeepers and elders, and the work that they've done and held for so long is quite profound. When I went to the Maya lands and I saw the work that they've done there and are doing with the calendars, it's another whole perspective that not many people know about. But when you get into it and you start to understand it, you almost you almost become obsessed, because it sort of speaks to you from a precise perspective of life, and it gives you an understanding of life on this cosmic level, and it gives you a sense of purpose and a sense of direction. And this is the other thing I wanted to say, is that the Mayan calendar is all about direction, because like every day is a different direction on the Mayan calendar. Like today, for instance, is 10 rainstorm, and so rainstorm is the aspect and 10 is the tone. And so because it's rainstorm, it's the west direction. Then tomorrow we go into the south direction, then the following day into the east, and then into the north. So it goes anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise,
and so
right.
The aspect of rainstorm today is all about enthusiasm, it's heightened energy. It's a day of washing away the ego. It's like this very, very heightened vibration. And the number 10 is like the wave of 13 days goes, and then it gets to the precipice, and 8, 9, and then 10, it folds over onto itself. And then 11, 12 brings clarity, and then completion, and then the new 13 days starts. So it's about coming over onto itself. So it can be a challenging day, and it brings manifestations. So every day there's 260 days, and every day has this understanding of the aspect to creation and the tone, and it works with 20 13-day cycles. And so it's also aligned to a biorhythmic essence, in terms of there's 20 digits, like 10 fingers and 10 toes, that's 20, and then there's 13 pulses in our body, and 13 vertebrae. So there's a connection of this 260-day calendar is actually a reflection of our biological evolution. Right. And each of the 9 levels is a different size 260-day cycle. This is the other thing. This is what the ancient Maya worked with in this 9 levels. And so I would like to get it more out there to people, and even to the Maya themselves. I don't know if they understand this, that the 260-day calendar, which is the personal calendar that reflects humanity's consciousness, is actually a 260-day. So for instance, this 9th, this bottom cycle there, this 9th, and then the 8th. So there's 260 cycles there, there's 260 cycles there, there's 260 cycles, 260, 260, 260, 260, but everyone is condensed by 20 times.
Right.
So these are the scales of evolution of time. And when you understand that, and this is the actual, by the way, this is the 260-day matrix of the calendar. Like this one here is the rainstorm one. There.
So those are the actual symbols from
those are the actual symbols. It's very small.
Okay.
And so there's 13 20-day cycles. Can you see that? So that's the matrix. I know you can't see it that easily. I do apologize. And then this is one of the artworks that I've done of a Maya glyph called Ik. This is the wind.
Oh, that's your glyph. Hey,
yeah, this is one of the ones I painted. After being in the Maya lands, the Maya elders did a reading on me, and that was part of my aspect. It's the year bearer, the 365-day harb, that everyone is born into this 360 day plus 5 days, which is the 5 days out of time. Everyone's born into that, and that first day that you're born into too has a bearing on your life. And so that's my
destiny.
My destiny.
Right.
That's what the Maya elders,
Right.
when I did a reading with them, they spoke to me and said, that's my year bearer. And it has a bearing on my life in
On
some
your
way.
life.
Yeah. And so my actual sign that I'm born into on these 260 days is road, two road. And two road also has a bearing for my destiny. And so I've gone into that in a very deep way, and I understand its importance. And as best I can, because I have that understanding, I'm living true to that. So when you connect with these vibrations, this is when Dr. Kahneman, and we had the course, and he worked out science, and he also spoke about you. And I do see you as a spiritual leader, Shelley, and a beautiful spiritual leader who's done a lot of beautiful work for many people to help them on the spiritual path. So thank you for that. So yeah, I mean, ultimately it's deep and complex, that it will go over people's head at first, and it's not for everybody. You know, you could just be absolutely naturally gravitated to this work, and when you get into it, it just talks to you, and that's what it did for me. That it's most importantly, I believe, is that if we from the heart, if we connect our heart and mind together, then we're living on this path of sacred intentions. And so that's the most important thing. And this is what the Mayan calendar can actually help us with when we follow the daily energies. And now that the ninth wave has been activated, when we understand that to a certain level and follow it, and we see this shift, it really is incredible. And I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg of this conversation. There's just so much.
And Sean, your title perhaps is really significant, the destiny of divine time. What does that mean when you speak about the Mayan calendar?
Actually, I'm glad you asked that, because part of why we actually having this conversation, Shelley, is because I was speaking to you about time manipulation. And this is really what has happened. Because everything was evolving to a precipice in 2011, for thousands of years, creation and the human consciousness was growing to an awareness to understand itself. But in the process, it made mistakes. There were misunderstandings, and there were lessons. And so there were a lot of learning going on. And what it did was it inadvertently, whether it be conscious or unconscious, manipulated time so that it could control the soul of this world. And so we really do need to look at calendars, because they are the center of civilization.
Right.
Calendars are the center of what's the center of our civilization is the Gregorian calendar. And this is a distorted calendar. You know, we have to watch this. It tells us what to do. It controls us. So whereas the Mayan calendar, it doesn't tell you what to do. It just tells you what is. It tells you what's happening. So they created that harb calendar, that 360 plus 5-day calendar. That's where the 360-day twin calendar, I believe, is connected to as well in some way. You know, I'm talking like this, but I don't know everything, and I may have spoken, you know, over the years. I may have said things which are not accurate, but you know, you're learning, you know, and so.
Sure, we're all learning. I mean, science itself is learning.
Asking for forgiveness on that level. You know, every day we ask for forgiveness, so we do our best. But yeah, time manipulation, Shelley, that's the divine time is when you are not controlling anything. You just from the heart, and you allow it to happen. You don't try to make this happen that way and that way. That's not divine. That's not sacred. So it's sacred time, and this is really what the Mayan calendar can align us with, is sacred time. In fact, this calendar, the dream spell, that manipulated version of the calendar, is really not sacred. First and foremost, it's fine when you create a calendar and then you tell people it's a manipulated version of the calendar, but that wasn't even said to people. So they just followed it, thinking it was the Mayan calendar. Excuse me.
Sorry, who created the divine time? Don't we necessarily name names. You don't have to. Where does this come from?
Jose Aguilas created the dream spell, and so it had its place, and I believe it was created through some sort of like part of growth. so that we could see things in a certain way. But my understanding is that because we've now transcended the 9-level Mayan calendar, it is now, whether it be relevant or not, I don't know, but to me, it's sort of, the relevance of it was questioned when I started to see the 9-level Mayan calendar, and that the dream spell does not connect to the 9 levels. So there's a problem there straight away.
And who saw that? Not just you.
I saw it. I saw
yes,
that.
But others saw it too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if people actually saw that. I saw that, and I just decided that I'm not going to follow the dream spell anymore because it's not connected to the timing of the 9-level Mayan calendar. So it doesn't make sense to follow.
Is this an intuitive sense for you?
No, it's not an intuitive.
An intuitive sense to not follow it is what I'm saying. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not an intuitive sense. It's a precise decision, because it doesn't connect. It's obviously an intuitive thing to say to me, no, I'm not going to connect with something that is not aligned, but yet, at the end of the day, it has some relevance, it has some purpose. And so I just feel that if you're going to do something, you just need to be open about what you're doing. And so now that it is made more aware, and if you want to follow the dream spell, that that it's not actually aligned to the true Mayan calendar. This is one thing that happened in ancient Maya civilization. They worked with this 260-day calendar, which is this the center of their civilization, and they would never change the date on that 260-day calendar. And so it's this 260-day calendar that was changed by Jose Aguilas and made a new calendar called called the Dream Spell. So that's what I'm saying. So he's never really, from what I understand, given answers as to why he did it, because he passed away in about 2012, I think, or something. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. There's always purpose. So and I really believe he really fully believed he was doing the right thing. And who's to say it wasn't the right thing? Who's to say it was the wrong thing? At the end of the day, we are not Jose. He had a choice, and he made that he brought it to the world in a big way. So there's actually a lot of good that came from, because it really showed people the Mayan calendar, and it put a lot of glitz and glam on the Mayan calendar, the way he did it. And I first learned the Mayan calendar through the dream spell. So
it had relevance. Yes.
Yeah, it has relevance. It's just that now there's no point in following it when you understand that it's actually off-center from the original Mayan calendar that connects to the 9 levels of creation.
So just very briefly, Sean, the relevance of the Mayan calendar today, what can people do with this for themselves today? What's the relevance of that?
I think that first and foremost, one of the things I would like to say, thank you to the Maya people and the Aztec people and the indigenous wisdom keepers of time that held this calendar true for so long. And we need to honor them and be grateful to these timekeepers. And if you ever got into this, it is important to be aware of where it comes from. And my heart is always in gratitude to the Maya. And so it actually brought me to go and meet the Maya elders and not get the information hearsay. I went to the Maya lands and I learned about the Maya calendar. I got a reading. So then ultimately there's a website called Mayan Magics. Okay.
How do you spell that?
Mayan as in Mayan, and then Magics, Magix.com. And there's a lot of information about the Mayan calendar. That's where Ian X. Lungold shared his teachings. Also, after meeting Dr. Kellerman and working with his book, The Mayan Calendar and the Evolution of Consciousness, he brought that into his workshops back in the day before he unfortunately passed away in about the year 2006. So I only met this information in 2007. And so Dr. Kellerman, so Mind Magics has the information about, you can go and see the daily calendar, and then you can put in your date of birth, and then it will show you your Mayan sign. Wonderful. And then you can even get a little reading for a little bit of for about $10, I think. You can get a reading, you know, on your sign, and it is worth it because it will show you another whole perspective on you and your light when you were born, the day you were born. It holds an aspect to creation and a tone. And so this is the personal soul keen, the 260-day calendar that has a relevance and can actually give guidance. And you can, in your heart, sort of sense where you will go from there. And just to mention also Dr. Kellerman and his work, you can go to his website and read his books. I've read most of his books. His latest book is the Living Universe, which is beautiful. Really beautiful book to read.
Excellent.
Yeah. And so he's
the spiritual and the science.
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean, his website is Kellerman.com. It's CALLAMEN, Kellerman.com. And I've done a course with Dr. Kellerman, as I said, and we also did that incredible ceremony, Shelley, that you were part of, called Ignite the One Out Fire, with the Bushmen, asking the Bushmen to do that lighting of the fire to bring a balance from a very, very ancient perspective of the masculine and feminine. I mean, you know a lot about that, Shelley. What do you think?
And also to think about your own place here, Sean, as well. How do people reach you? You are actually an artist, yes, and you have a fascination in this divine time calendar, and you are a global expert on this in your spiritual knowledge, and you do have knowledge around the scientific aspects of it as well. But how can people reach you if they wanted to have conversation, or how would you take that further?
Yeah, I have a website that I started quite a while ago, theuniversalfrequency.com. So it's just, as you said, theuniversalfrequency.com. Okay. And that is not really, it is partly up and running, but it was the codes, it was actually built in the old codes. So the coding is all off and I need to renew it, but it is on Facebook. So you can just go to theuniversalfrequency.com on Facebook, and or just the Universal Frequency on Facebook, and you can see it there. And I do sort of at least weekly postings and sharing the evolution of consciousness and the daily energies of Mayan calendar. And so that's where I am, you know, in terms of the Mayan calendar.
And Sean? I think that if I could just say one last thing, sorry, James, is that would you be open to doing a conversation with Dr. Kellerman and yourself?
Yes. I actually have asked Dr. Kellerman, and he is open to it, and he knows we're talking, he knows, and
fantastic.
He values you, and it's great. So we will do this. We will have a platform, and Carl is very keen. In fact, I must just tell everybody, he starts a new workshop tomorrow, the 1st of June. And so he's doing that. And even if you do start late, I think you get recordings of it. So this may come out too late to start it. But he does, on an ongoing basis, share the teachings of the Mayan calendar in his work. He's so passionate.
Both of you are doing this, and it's truly been my honor to witness this, Sean, and to hear this conversation today. Thank you for your time. Over to you, James.
Sean, the Mayan calendar for me is just absolutely fascinating. And one principle that I have applied in my own life for maybe the last 20 years is to live by an intention every day. So I myself have written out like 20 intentions. And every day I go back and I see what is my intention for the day. And the wisdom that comes from the Mayan calendar is incredible. And it's one tool that we can use today and for many years to come to elevate global consciousness. But I've got one more question for you, and I just want you to say, what is the 7th day and the 7th night? Because I might have missed that one.
Thank you, James, for everything you say. And it's intuitively you're doing that, 20 intentions. Well done. So Yeah, just to share with everybody, as the 9 levels of the Mayan calendar came to a completion on the 28th of October 2011 to 13 Ahau light. So what happened then was that was the completion of the Mayan calendar. It was the completion of the 7th day of creation. So you may have heard even in the Bible, they talk about the 7th day. It's quite a sort of interesting sort of synchronicity with the 9 level Mayan calendar. In fact, maybe that's where the Bible got the information from, was the code of the Mayan calendar. So what we worked out, and it's taken time, and Dr. Cameron's also worked on this, is that all the waves went from the 7th day into the 7th night. So what happens is, on each level, this was the 7th day, and on each level, this is the 7th night. So what happens is, we are now in the 7th night of all the levels from the 7th level down, because the 7th level, the night is 20 years. So in 2011, we went into the 7th night on the 7th level, and we go into the 7th level on the 7th night, and we come out of it in 2031. So there's this whole big talk about 2030, 2031, what's going on. And we go into the 8th day in 2031. And that is, this whole build-up from now to then is, in my view, the last stage before we really birth something incredible on the 7th level plane. And the 7th level plane is the planetary plane. That's the level of the collective planetary mind. And so what is happening from now till then is the time of design change. It's that it can be correlated to the time between midnight and sunrise. So it's like when you are asleep at night, and we're really at a place now of about 3 or 4 in the morning. And what happens at that time? Big portals open, and to bring in the new change. So metaphorically and symbolically, you can look at it like that. And this is what I'm talking about, scales of time. So the 7th day and the 7th night is a scale of time that in our everyday existence, the day is 24 hours long. It's like 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night, symbolically. But on the Mayan calendar, it works with correlating that to a cosmic level. And so this is really what the 7th night is. So if you look at the 6th level, when we do speak to Carl, he's going to bring up the 6th level a lot. That's this 5,000-year cycle. And that creation wave of going into the 7th day and 7th night is 20 times bigger than the 7th. The 7th was 20 years. The 7th level, the days and nights are 20 years. On the 6th level, the days and nights are 400 years. That's 20 times bigger. So we are now going into, and so the 7th day of the 6th level was really when colonialism was birthed in about 1630 or 20 to now. That's about a 400-year period. And so that it's like the rise and fall. It's like, this is the rise and fall. So this is what's happening. The Western dominance through colonialism that was born and has dominated this world is now falling in the 7th night. But it's not a bad thing. It's all about balance. It's bringing balance. But when we understand this information, we can actually work with it and not be afraid of what's going on in this world, because everything that's happening is according to a divine plan. This is what the 9 level Mayan calendar is all about. There's a plan to consciousness. And so the universal source created us as a seed with this memory. And what's happened is this time manipulation has taken us off course from the memory of the seed. And so we can talk and talk and talk, but there's a lot more information to cover. But this is really, as I say, the tip of the iceberg.
Well, it's absolutely fascinating. And thank you for your time that you have set aside today to share your incredible knowledge with us. We truly appreciate that. Now, this talk will be on YouTube next week. Please remember to share our talk with your friends. I will also share this talk on our Intuitive Mind YouTube channel. So till next time, goodbye and have a beautiful day.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, James. Many blessings.